Are you looking for your very first AI automation agency client, but you don't know where to start? Or maybe you've been reaching out to people and the outreach you've been using just isn't working quite how you want it? Or maybe you even have clients right now, but you're looking for another lead source, maybe that can even work in the background along with the current ones that are working right now. If any of that sounds like you, then you're definitely in the right place, because in this video, I'm going to be showing you the 5 easiest ways to land AI automation agency clients, even if you're a beginner with no experience. And as you can see on the screen here, you can see a sneak peek of the couple of the things I'm going to be talking about. And then I actually ended off with the secret method and specifically what I use that gets me the most clients and has super high close rates, with the clients practically closing themselves on the calls. Speaking about calls, I just want to remind you to not forget the objective of all this outreach. The entire point of this process is to book a 15-minute intro call. Now you might say something like, Tommy, isn't the point to actually close a client and get some cash in our pocket? And while yes, that is the end goal, the point of these cold outreaches or even inbound is always to funnel someone to book a 15-minute intro call, which then you can qualify them, see if you guys would work well together, and decide to then push them further down the sales funnel. Now, if you want to know more about specifically my sales funnel and how I set up my agency, I made a completely free YouTube video, A to Z, on how I set up my AI agency, including the sales framework and scripts I actually use inside my agency. And that'll be the YouTube video linked at the top of the description. You can check that out after this video. But I want you to keep in mind as I go through all of these ways to get leads and book calls that the entire point of all of these processes, all this reaching out, is to book a 15-minute intro call. The whole point of this call is just for you to get to better know the prospect, because it's very unlikely you're going to be closing multi-$1,000 a month deals over something like email or Twitter DMs or text messages. And the first method or way I have for getting your very first AAA client is using your personal network. Your personal network is for sure the very first people you should reach out to if you just started a new company, because it's by far the easiest way to get your very first client. So using who you know, way number 1. How does this actually work? Well, first off, they're your warmest leads. They know who you are already and likely already trust you. Your parents, their friends, your friends and their parents, cousins, uncles, whoever you might know that might be a business owner or work at a business. I want you to just make a list. Make a list of everybody in your phone contacts, everybody in your email contacts, as well as everybody that you follow or follows you on social media. People who know who you are. Even if you aren't best friends, just make that list and then go down that list, contact them, whether that's through iMessage, email, Instagram DMs, and just share what you're doing. Make sure to personalize it to them, since it's someone you know already in real life. Just start a conversation, be a normal person, personalize to them. And what you want to do is you want to pitch them, but not on them getting your services, on them referring you. Ask them if they know anyone who might be helped out by what you're providing. And a lot of times people will just say, hey, that actually sounds like something I need, not anyone else. And what you want to pitch them on, or pitch them to refer you on, is just a free trial. Build something for free. Build an AI chatbot, an AI voice agent, because that case study is more valuable than just getting a client. But that case study is something you can then leverage to actually sign more clients. So even if that first client you get is unpaid, that can lead to 3 more paid clients, because you have that case study and you have the proof of work and can show other leads that you're reaching out to, whether they're warm, someone you already know or not, that you know what you're doing, you've built something for someone and it's succeeded. One side note is just that the free trial method is a great way to take weight off your shoulders, work for free for someone, get that case study, and then you can leverage that experience to then close more clients. And so here I just made a quick text message. This isn't real, this is just something I made. You sort of reach out to this person you already know is an entrepreneur, you explain your services, and then you really limit that barrier to entry because it's free and you're not pressuring them directly to work with you. You're just asking them for a reference, or even if they'd be interested as well. And a lot of the times these people do actually end up being interested, as they either want to help you out because they know you, or it's a service that they genuinely want, and free is a great price tag to get it at. If you want to find all the templates I'm using in this video, you can come over to my free school community, AI Agency Academy. It'll be linked down below, as well as its link on my YouTube and every other video I create. And you just come to Classroom, YouTube resources, and then just click this examples under this video. And I have a full Google Doc of everything I have on the slides, as well as templates for every method I use in this video. So make sure to grab this and make a copy of it so you can follow along and start using these to close your very first AAA client. And our very next way of signing your very first AAA client is LinkedIn, both inbound and outbound. And so some of my key points for LinkedIn is that your profile means a lot more than the message you send. What I mean by that is, no matter what you send when you message someone, it could be the perfect cold message or the worst. They will always go to your profile, see who you are, see your messaging, your profile picture, your banner, as well as where you've worked previously, and they'll judge you based on that, not based on your message. If you'd like to check out a solid LinkedIn profile, you can always check out mine. However, you can also look at top people in the industry you work in. So for AI automation agencies, people like Liam Otley you can check out, or Brendan Jowett, and you can check out how their LinkedIns are designed specifically to close more clients. The second benefit of LinkedIn is that it's highly targeted. You can pretty much, especially if you have the paid version, but even with the free version, which is what I use as well, you can target specifically your niche and the job, so you can find decision makers in your niche, connect with them, and start messaging them within a couple hours. The third thing, which is neither a pro nor con, is just that LinkedIn is very text-based content. Now they have added a sort of TikTok Reels feature, and I still have to explore that more and see if that's actually an effective way of getting exposure and closing clients. But this text-based content caters very well to people who may have had prior success on places like Twitter or are very good at copywriting and stuff like that. And then last, LinkedIn is all about value. And that's because you want to give value in your posts. You want to post stuff that people comment on, whether you're giving away some sort of ebook or a cheat sheet or whatever. Use a lead magnet and consistently provide value to people. That way they like and interact with your posts. And the more value you give, the more value you will get back. So even if you give 10 times, I guarantee you a lot of those people that are receiving those gifts and that value you're sending out will end up becoming clients. And you don't notice it until that tipping point sort of hits. After a month or two, you're like, man, like I've been grinding at this LinkedIn. This is exactly how I was. In the summer, LinkedIn outreach was my main way of getting clients. I would post every day, every morning, reach out to 50, 100 people a day. And I was like, man, like I'm not getting anywhere. And then one day it just clicked. And there were people who would comment on my videos and that I DM'd, and I'd start booking calls. I mean, 1 or 2 calls a day at least, and you start closing clients consistently just because they've seen your name enough. And they know that you provide value. And so this LinkedIn example is actually DMs that I sent when my niche was specifically working with realtors. And I blacked some stuff out just for the privacy of this person. And this is one of my favorite openers if you're working in niche is, hey, name, are you still a full-time, and then occupation. So in this case, it was, hey, Amanda, are you still a full-time realtor? But if you're working with plumbers, it'd be, hey, Jake, are you still a full-time plumber? Because a lot of the time when reaching out, this comes across not salesy at all, and actually could be me looking to buy a house or looking for plumbing services. So you get a really high response rate when you ask something like this. Most of the times they'll say yes, and if they say no, just ignore them. You don't want to work with someone who's not working anymore, right? And generally they'll also ask, hey, how can I help? And I always just get permission to further the conversation, ask more questions. So I was just like, hey, I was just wondering if I could ask a few questions. And then following from that, you can say something like, have you ever tried using AI before? And really try and be very conversational. And so generally the only thing for LinkedIn, but this also goes for cold email, Twitter, reaching out to people in your own network. So the only thing you really want to have, copy and paste, is sort of that first 1 or 2 messages where you get permission to begin the conversation and start asking them questions. And beyond that, you really want to personalize it to that person, the niche you're in, as well as how the conversation's just flowing. Now, since I did so much LinkedIn outreach, my template is very in-depth on this Google Doc. I have specific first and second messages, how to respond to each one, as well as what to say when they don't respond, and how to respond when they do respond. I'd highly recommend looking at this if LinkedIn outreach is something you're interested in. And LinkedIn outreach was by far my best way of closing clients through cold outreach. But we have cold email, which I know is a bit old, but it is reliable and still a great way of closing clients, even with a new business model like the AAA. And you might think cold email is saturated, and while it is for sure more difficult than it was a decade ago, it's by no means saturated. Email is still the number one way businesses communicate with each other. There's still $1 million deals being done over email. So I promise you can book a 15-minute call through email. So for cold email, there's a couple of tips I have for you. Number one is just be creative. Like I mentioned before, cold email is extremely competitive, especially in some of these niches you guys will be going after. However, the more creative you are, the more you'll stand out and the less salesy you will come across, which will heavily increase your response rates as well as how often you book calls. Second is that once you find a couple good subject lines and a couple of good cold emails, then you can automate cold email very quickly. There's a number of tools. Instantly to Lemlist, there's a lot of stuff you can use. As I mentioned, cold email is very competitive. That's the last point there. But my third point is just ask yourself, why would they click? And now, that's not only why would they click on the email, which is mostly focusing on your subject line. However, why would they click to book a call? Make sure you can have the perfect subject line. However, you want to make sure this meat in here both coincides from it as well as flows smoothly from the subject line into booking a call and piques the potential lead's interest. Here's a pretty solid one right now. And now, while this might not work anymore, the subject line's a bit basic. This is generally how you want your emails to look, and this would be a great start for any of you. I won't make this into a tangent, but another side note is your cold email is only as good as the list you send it to, so don't be afraid to spend money on getting a good cold email list, but there's plenty of places you could go to. Apollo.io is one I've used in the past to get free emails. There's also Cough, web scrapers that may or may not be legal that scrape like thousands of emails for you. So looking at this email a bit, subject line is simply your website. And that's a bit basic now, but you always want to keep your subject line to sort of a couple words or a phrase. And so this would be fine. I would prefer something if you were able to personalize it, like you could say Zachary's website or insert company name website. They go, hey Zach, you're leading a fast growing startup, so I'll keep this brief. And so that's some personalization. This is a bit weak though. There's a lot of fast growing startups. However, it's for sure better than nothing. You say, hey, at my company, we have software devs that can quickly deploy and help move things forward in your product. So one thing they did very well, they focused on what this company can do for AeroGrid and Zachary. So first thing they say is, we can help move things forward in your product roadmap and help iterate. So that's the benefit. And then you eliminate more worries by saying, hey, we have a wide skill set in devs, that flexibility. So if you're in a niche, it would be great in this message here to say, I helped another realtor eliminate 50% of their missed calls, and because of that, they actually closed 2 more houses this month. And then lastly, you just pitch them on the 15-minute call and then sign off. And so this is a super basic cold email. This isn't something that's going to make you tens of millions of dollars, but something that can close clients as long as your list is good enough. Next up, we have Twitter or X, and this is both inbound and outbound. It's actually very similar to LinkedIn. Now, I could have put this first point for literally every single one of these ways or methods to get your first client, but especially with Twitter and any sort of inbound marketing, consistency is key. If you post consistently on Twitter, build relationships, react to other people's posts, you'll eventually have that one post, and it only takes one, as I mentioned here. You'll have that one post that blows up, and from one post, you can literally drive tens to even hundreds of leads to booking calls with you just from one post that goes semi-viral. Twitter's a great place for you to not only interact with people in your potential niche, but also other entrepreneurs doing the same thing. You sort of operate in an environment where you can both create content for people to help them learn, as well as you can learn yourself. And then off of that is value, value, value. Just like LinkedIn, On Twitter, you want to provide value. You don't want to be pitching in every tweet you send out. You want to gain followers, you want to gain trust, you want to gain interactions, and build value. And the more value you build, people will remember that. And then when they think of someone to reach out to for AI services, they'll think of you. Fourth, it only takes one, and this makes it a lot easier being consistent because even if you don't see the results right now, it'll carry over, and eventually that day will come where you'll close multiple clients in the same week just because of one tweet. And then lastly, Twitter's very tech focused. So if your niche is plumbers or a home service industry, Twitter might not be the best place for you to reach out to people, DM people, as well as create inbound content. However, if you're looking to work with e-com companies or new startups, they all live and breathe Twitter or X, and it's very easy to reach people on there. And so I just have a quick example of a thread here from Justin Welsh, who is great on Twitter. He converts really well. But you can see this one thread, 800,000 views, 195 retweets, 141 comments. So that's all people he can then go in DM and he knows interacted with him and he can pitch them. 2.9k likes. I'm also guessing he got a ton of followers from this. You can sort of see the general gist of how to create inbound content on Twitter here. And then as far as outbound outreach to close clients, it's very similar to other methods we looked at, including LinkedIn. One thing I will mention about Twitter in comparison to LinkedIn is it's a lot more casual. You can use memes, you can use pop culture, you can talk in a more casual tone, whereas LinkedIn is very formal, and you just have to be cognizant of that as you sort of operate in those two domains. And then lastly, the secret sauce to getting as many AI agency clients as you want is YouTube, the platform you're on right now. And so Wave 5 is YouTube, and this is my personal favorite. Again, consistency is everything. You're gonna post videos that get like under 100 views. You're gonna get videos with thousands of views, and then you're gonna post another one that severely underperforms. And you just have to be consistent because every new post, every video, and this goes for Twitter and LinkedIn as well, any inbound strategy. Every new piece of content you create, not only is it getting more exposure, whether it's a lot or a little, it gets some exposure, but you also get better every single time. And so second is value, value, value. Again, I can't stress this enough. This you could say for literally all 5 of these methods is you always want to deliver value where you can, because the more you give, the more you get. And this isn't just in business, this is also in life, especially as we're celebrating the holiday season. Third, once again, it only takes one. I made a video over this summer where I had previously been getting like a couple hundred views every video, and then for some reason this video decided to get like 4,000 views. And while it might not sound like a lot, that video has probably made me close to 10 grand alone from clients I've signed from it. And so it only takes one for something to completely change your life. YouTube also works for all niches. It's actually very hard to niche down in YouTube. If you have a niche, I tried it with realtors and it really didn't work. And even if you're making niche specific videos, you'll have people that book calls with you that are outside of that niche looking to work with you. And so this actually works a lot better as a general agency. However, just know that all niches work within YouTube. Lastly, is there's very motivated leads on YouTube. Most of my sales calls from YouTube, people are eager to actually close on the very first call. And so for the YouTube example, this is a bit shameless, but I feel qualified to talk about it, is my own video, the one I made 5 months ago that got close to 4,000 views. What I did in this video was simply, I just showed how to make an AI receptionist, and people seem to really like it. Seemed to be a very straightforward tutorial. I had no idea what I was doing when I was making this video. However, I just edited it, chopped it up. I didn't do anything too crazy, just use Loom, what I'm using right now to record this video. I actually barely had a slideshow like the one I have now. I didn't even know how to present. I just said, F it, let me post it, and I actually got off a flight, I checked my phone, and so I had like 3 booked calls for later that day. It's like, man, fuck, like I'm tired. But I was super jacked up, super excited. Went on those sales calls. First 2, I signed my first 2 clients. And then after all the excitement died down of signing those clients, I realized I had a lot of work to do, as well as other calls still coming in. And that was the first time in my life I actually started to deny clients straight up and be like, hey, like, sorry, but if the money's not there, I can't take you on just because I have such a big workload right now. Yeah, and so that was certainly a crazy feeling to be in a position to deny clients, whether it's because the money wasn't good enough or something just felt off about the deal. I felt comfortable enough financially and with my own company to say no. And so if you're wondering, like I threw a bunch of stuff at you, you're wondering how you get started with an AI automation agency now they actually know how to get a client, I would recommend watching my first couple videos, like my tutorial, the one I just showed you. And you can even study it if you're not going to go in and build the chatbot. See what made that video sort of outperform my other videos and draw these people to book calls with me. As well as I recommend you check out my video on how to start an AI automation agency in 30 minutes. Like I mentioned, that has my entire sales process in it, as well as all the softwares I use and how I sort of organize everything for my company. As always, make sure to also join my Skool community where you can interact with me directly and ask me any question you want. And so, with that, happy holidays. I hope you guys all are back home with your families and enjoying the holiday season. I also hope you get your first client because of this video. So feel free to ask me any questions, whether that's in my Skool community or down in the comments. I'll see you guys in the next video.